All right, everybody, it's the Working Fans Combatcast, and we are back at it again after a very busy week last week with Dan Backley on the show, and Cage My Q will be airing some of his stuff later on tonight too. And that's right, Mateo Gonzalez was on here last week too, interview. We're going to have lots to talk about today. Well, a lot of stuff to talk about. And we'll hit you with that right after this video. Are you a fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you, because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
All right, fans, welcome back. Chevy, tell them what we got coming up.
All right, October 22nd, finally back to giant pay-per-view cards. It's going to be UFC 280, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. That I believe is a 3 p.m. Eastern card because it is coming from Abu Dhabi. So looking forward to that one. Later on in the month, we have October 29th, UFC Fight Night, Calvin Kattar versus Arnold Allen. I'm super excited for that main event. I have to look at the rest of the card, but that main event is fire. That's going to be 2 super technical strikers for sure. Arnold Allen, I think I'm giving him the edge currently, but we'll see. Then moving on into November, UFC Fight Night, Mitchell versus Evilov. We talked a little bit last week about Evilov possibly pulling out, but they already have plans for Bryce Mitchell's replacements going forward. So we'll see. Nothing's been announced yet. Still got some time, but I'd like to see that matchup.
Yeah, some good potential matchup there. This is I don't know. I almost want to skip over this week's fight night. There's some interesting fights on it. We'll talk about it. But man, get me to the friggin' pay-per-view already, we're going to talk about news items a little bit too. So, might as well, with the pay-per-view main event, talk about that a little bit, because we got 2 potential backup fighters.
Yeah, so I'm seeing online Volkanovski, the current featherweight champ. He's been asking to move up to lightweight. He says he's been locked on, officially confirmed to be the replacement fighter if either Charles or Islam fall out of the fight. And right before we went live, I saw that Beneil Dariush, who's been waiting in the wings patiently, taking all the UFC's bullshit, basically, said that he's also been promised the replacement. So I'm not sure. Who would you prefer to see if, God forbid, something happens to this man?
I hate to see it, because I really like Dariush and I like him more. But man, it's interesting to put the featherweight champ in that shot and get a shot at the lightweight title. I won't be mad though, because I think Beneil Dariush is a good dude, and I think he's earned his way up there. He took some time off, to be there for the birth of his child and be there. So it's kind of hard to get mad at that and say he doesn't deserve it. And I'd hate to see him get screwed. So, and I think honestly, it's really hard to say, because we don't know how Alexander is going to be at lightweight, which also makes it interesting. But we know how Beneil Dariush is, and he's fantastic. So, and
exciting,
yeah. So I'd love to see it. You can't really go wrong. But all right, let's say I was a promoter and I had to make some money off of this. then yeah, give me the featherweight champ versus the lightweight, in a potential double champion situation. I'm basically
on short notice too, so it's a built-in excuse for him.
I'm basically making another star at that point if he wins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that's probably what the UFC will do. As far as matchup wise, personally, I'd rather see Dariush against either guy. I think stylistically he matches up very well against both guys. Definitely better striking than Islam, and his jiu-jitsu is nasty. So I would love to see a jiu-jitsu match between, Oliveira and Dariush. But ultimately, my number one priority would be just don't have this fight fall out. Like Oliveira versus Makhachev is the fight. This is the one we want to see. I'm glad that the UFC is taking precautions or whatever, but let's just get both fighters to the fight, please.
Absolutely. I'm glad that if something goes wrong, it seems like they're being extra cautious. So we have a UFC pay-per-view main event on this card. But this is the fight I want to see. I just saw something too that got me particularly hyped for it. Islam Makhachev was talking about how if you look at Oliveira's last couple fights, several people have knocked him down, but nobody wants to go on the ground and grapple with him. And he says this is where the danger becomes, and he gets back on his feet. Excellent point. And he says, I'm not afraid of his jiu-jitsu. I don't mind going down there. I'm going to go down there and ground and pound him. Now, a lot of people say that is probably just talk, but I feel like Islam, he really means that. Like, he's not afraid to go down there. He really believes his grappling superior. I'm not saying that he's like, I don't think he's going to be like, oh, I hope we have to, go down and have these wild exchanges. I just think he believes he's the better all-around fighter, and that intrigues me because that's a different style matchup than we're going to get. And, he's good. He can talk all that shit, but, man, Charles Oliveira, he's just put on performances against the best of the best right now. He looks spectacular, and the only reason why I feel like he gets caught is because he's like a gift to MMA fans. He just wants to be exciting. He wants to go out there and have these crazy, exciting fights. He does it, and he still wins against the best, and he finishes them. So, I don't know. And maybe that's just the only way he knows how to fight. So, enjoy him while we got him.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it more next week. But, yeah, I do think that is the most interesting part of the matchup is that Makhachev is not afraid to grapple with Oliveira. Now, in my opinion, like I said, we'll talk about it more next week, but he should be. I think Oliveira holds the record for most submissions in the UFC for a reason. So far, what I've seen from Islam, I don't know if he's quite there, but we're gonna find out, and that's the
I love his confidence.
Yeah, that's the excellence of the fight game. So we're gonna find out. So, you mentioned it earlier. We had our interview last week with mighty Mateo Gonzalez. He is fighting this week on Friday, the 19th. So he'll be on the prelims of LFA 144, which will be airing on UFC Fight Pass. So I know we're getting together, excited to watch our new friend, mighty Mateo, get that fourth win in his pro career.
Absolutely. I wish this kid nothing but the best. Super humble on our podcast, super grateful, and super nice behind the scenes as well. So absolutely. You just want to root for.
Yeah. So also some more news, couple fight announcements. We had OSP being announced against Gustafsson, one of my favorite fighters. That's going to be at light heavyweight, and that'll be on UFC 282. So I'm looking forward to that one. Gustafsson did have a matchup against Ben Rothwell, who then had some sort of contract issue and got released before the fight happened. So, probably end of the line or near the end of the line for both guys, but exciting matchup. Why? You got a preference in this one? We don't need to go into the whole thing, but
no, I like Gustafsson. I keep wanting to root this guy just because he's the guy that came so close to beating John Jones and Daniel Cormier, and he just missed it within inches. And then he's just never really had the same luck since. Like after a few bad breaks here and there, and he hasn't been able to put together. And it just makes me root for him because I feel bad to see him not being able to pull it off. I don't know, but every time we've been in a situation now, it just hasn't looked good. So, but OSP is a guy too who, like you said, he's kind of towards the end a little bit. So I like OSP. Wouldn't bother me, but I sentimental favorite is Alexander Gustafsson in this.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't hate OSP. I actually think he's fantastic. Love his Von Flue chokes. I know they wanted to rename it to the St. Preux choke. So, Gustafsson's just one of my favorites. So when I first got into the sport, he was one of my first favorite fighters. So I think, OSP has gotten away with a lot of striking because he's the longer fighter in a lot of his fights. He won't be the longer fighter against Gustafsson. So it'll be a tough matchup for him. But let's move on. Another fight announcement. The big boys, Sergey Pavlovich versus Tuavasa on what is turning out to be an exciting fight night card in December in Orlando. Yeah,
I'm excited for that. Ty's a sentimental favorite again. Just love this guy. I think he's got a star written all over him. Love his shoey. Love his attitude. Love his social media game.
Love his walkout songs.
Those walkouts. He's just super entertaining. He's just a charming guy. This fight night card, I mean, Kevin Holland already out of retirement against Stephen Thompson. I don't have it in front of me now, but I know RDA's on this card. Quay Guida's on this card. This is going to be a stacked fight night card in December. And UFC was doing this back in the day when they start to load up the December cards. You have a stacked fight night, a stacked pay-per-view, and sometimes you get the Ultimate Fighter finale in there. So I don't know what the rest of December looks like, but it's nice to see them putting together cards like this at the end of the year.
Yeah, it is an excellent fight night card, which we have not been getting the later part of the summer, early part of the fall here, which leads us into the UFC Fight Night card for this weekend.
Right.
Alexa Grasso versus Vivian Araujo. You want to get into that one?
Yeah, there's some fights on this prelims you want to talk about. I know there's one we talked about right beforehand. I'll have some stuff to say about that one. So,
so it's Mike Jackson versus Pete Rodriguez. That's leading off the prelims. Mike Jackson, if you don't know him off the top of your head, he is he's a fighter, but he's also a journalist. He fought CM Punk and beat him in a fight where he was celebrating while he was on top. Dana was very unhappy. So I'm surprised he's still in the UFC. But Pete Rodriguez, he reminds me a little bit of a Mike Perry character fighter, super tough guy, maybe a little crazy. He's a minus 660 favorite in this fight. What do you think about that one?
I'm looking at Mike Jackson's boxing record. He was actually 4-0 in boxing, which is nice. But look, Mike Jackson, I mean, look at his professional record. It's interesting. It's very interesting. He lost to Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall basically was brought in on a couple fights to fight CM Punk. The CM Punk experiment failed. I get why the UFC did it. He had a name. And over the years, Russell fans, CM Punk would talk about rolling around, jiu-jitsu mats and all this. We never got into the details of how much rolling around Punk did or what level.
He was like a blue belt.
Yeah, he shouldn't have been there. So it is what it is. But so he fights CM Punk because Punk gets destroyed by Gall. And then he beats Punk. It's overturned because of a drug failure. I think it was marijuana or something at the time.
Yeah.
And it's whatever, But it's CM Punk, he originated. So now he gets years later. He gets a fight recently against Dan Barry was a guy's name. From what it looked like, he was getting beat up, if I remember correctly. And then there was an eye gouge in there. He get poked in the eye, and that caused a disqualification because he never came back. And so he got the win. So to me, this guy, nothing against him, but to me, the UFC, I think, is looking at him like he's just an annoying little fly gnat that haven't we gotten rid of this guy yet?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what this fight is for. He's supposed to get beat here, and we're not supposed to hear from Mike Jackson again. My guess is that's probably what's going to happen too, just looking at these fighters and their records and the way they match up. But we'll see. we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Mike probably going to get finished in the first round here is my guess.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility for sure. Another prelim fight, not a super deep card, but Rafael Assunção versus Victor Henry. Assunção definitely near the end of his career. He's lost 4 in a row at this point, banished to the prelims. Could this be the last time we see him, you think?
Could very well. It's interesting. I mean, this is a guy who once beat Pedro Munoz, TJ Dillashaw. I'm just looking at his rating. Like, he has a split decision victory over Aljamain Sterling, Marlon Moraes, Rob Font. Like, he's beaten some of the best. But, yeah, he's lost 4 in a row to Moraes, who ended up basically going on a loser himself. Corey Sandhagen. He got KO'd by Cody Garbrandt. And
that
then,
was that one where Cody was up against the cage and he leaned down and,
Yeah, and then he got KO'd against Ricky Simon his last one. And here's the thing. When he was losing before, he was losing by decision. Now he's coming off a couple KO losses recently. So we'll see how he does here. I don't know a lot about Victor Henry, but, Sanko's still a dangerous guy who's been around. But if he loses another one, I think this is probably the end of the road for him as well.
I think Henry's like 220 favorite or something like that. So not a giant favorite, but that's fairly sizable in MMA for sure. So, all right, on to the main card.
Yes.
We got Misha Cirkunov versus Alonzo Menafield. So, you got thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Cirkunov. I like him, actually. I'm kind of... Okay, so I like Menafield too. Athletic guy. Let's see here. I had some notes on these guys. Yeah. So Menafield, look at his gauge. He's got 9 KOs, 2 subs. Cirkunov's got 5 KOs, 8 subs. It's interesting. I like Menafield. I think he's a little more explosive. It could go either way, but I don't know. I like Menafield. I'm going to go with Menafield, and I'll say he gets it done. Second round TKO.
So I'm with you. I like both guys. Cirkunov, though, he's lost 6 of his last 8, including 3 losses in a row. So I think maybe Father Time's just caught up with him. He's 35 years old now. Menafield's in his prime. Super scary, powerful striker, explosive. I think he clips him early, maybe like halfway through round 1, and then finishes him with ground and pound.
All right, I like it. Can I just say, I like you kind of leading the MMA cards here because you're so much better at enunciating the names. So I think this is the new format from now on.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. So we'll move on to the next fight. Yeah. That's going to be Jordon, the Beverly Hills Ninja Wright. I fucking love that name. Versus Dusko Todorovic.
Yes. So Dusko is 11-3, 7 KOs, 3 subs, 1 decision. Jordon Wright, 12-3-1, 7 KOs, 5 subs. I like Jordon Wright. I like that nickname, and I like the fact that this guy, out of his 12 fights, has had all finishes. And that's quite a mixture. 7 KOs, 5 subs. So it looks like he could get it done either way. I'll go Jordon Wright, round 2, ground and pound.
Yeah, I also noted that when looking up this fight, 100% finish rate, whether he's doing the finishing or getting finished. It's been a bit of a tough go since he got into the UFC. He's lost 3 of 5.
Yeah.
But not the most favorable matchups either the UFC's been given him. He came in undefeated, so I think they kind of threw him to the wolves a little bit. This is not this is another tough matchup for him. Dusko's great kickboxer. So we could see a real excellent striking match between these two guys. But like you mentioned, Jordon does have a good amount of submissions too. So maybe Jordon tries to get to the ground and get a sub. I'm going to say we get an exciting kickboxing match. Either guy could get clipped, but I'm going to say Jordon wins because he's the Beverly Hills Ninja. And I think that's fucking awesome. I'll say TKO round 2, some sort of head kick or something.
Okay, nice. All
right, so we're going to move on to what I think could be fight of the night, actually. A flyweight matchup. Askar Askarov versus Brandon Royval.
Yeah, this is an interesting one here. Askar is 14-1-1. So this guy's not tasted defeat a lot. He's 4 KOs, 7 subs, 3 decisions. Royale, 14-6, 3 KOs, 9 subs, 2 decisions. Brandon Royale has been in some interesting fights, too. One of our favorite fighters, one of the top flyweights in the world, interim champ.
Brendan Moreno?
Brendan Moreno. They had a good scrap, too, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
so did Askarov, too.
That's right. Yeah, he's been right there, too. So this is two of the best. Askar, I feel, is like just really difficult. Like, he's good on the ground, and he's just one of those guys that's really tough to beat. Brandon Royal, I feel, is really good. I think he's more of the exciting fighter. It makes me want to root for him, but I don't know if that necessarily gets the job done. I feel like if Royal, I mean, this should be a great technical fight because I feel like Royal can match up with him. I'm going to get kind of sentimental here. I'm going with my favorites this week. Brendan Royal, I'm going to say he gets it done, and I'm going to say it's by decision, though, because either way, I see this fight going by decision.
So Askar just got his first loss in March to Kai Kara France.
Yes.
It was a pretty close fight, though. And he also took, like you said, Brandon Moreno to a split draw.
Is Askar the favorite?
Yes. A slight favorite, I believe. A slight favorite. So, but like you said, Royval has looked fantastic lately. Super exciting fighter. I agree with you. Probably the more technical, like stand-up fighter.
Mm-hmm.
But both guys, great grapplers. I think, like I said, this could be fight of the night. We see a lot of, how a lot of flyweight fights go. Lots of crazy scrambles, exciting, flying around the octagon and stuff. I think either guy could win, but I kind of see Askarov catching him in one of those scrambles, latching on his neck or something. If not, I'll say it goes to a decision and Askarov uses, just octagon control to eke out a win because he's going to do more of the wrestling for sure. And I think if he's controlling where the fight is going, that might be enough to eke out the win.
Yeah. Brandon is going to have to be on his game here. I hope he is. I think he has the tools to pull this off, but it's going to be this is definitely
it's a very good test for him for sure. Yeah, I think this is Askarov's number 4 and Royval's number 5, so they should be right there.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So fan favorite, one of our favorites, Cub Swanson is fighting Jonathan Martinez at featherweight.
Yeah, it's interesting. What's interesting to me was I knew Cub had won his last fight.
Like a wheel kick or something. I remember.
And I was interested in that. Actually, now you got me kind of wondering here. We'll just buy a little time here.
I think he had his children in the crowd, and that was the first time he had his kids there, and that pumped him up. He got that wheel kick KO.
Darren Elkins. That's another thing too. Against the guy, the damage, who can take a lot of damage and doesn't get finished. Yeah, that's his nickname. And Cub was able to pull that off, and it was a spinning wheel kick and punches. Also, what I noted too is that Cub, despite being a little bit older and stuff like that, he's won 3 out of his last 4. So I find that interesting. Cubs becomes a veteran. I can tell you he's 28-12, 13 KOs, 4 subs, 11 decisions. Like anywhere this goes, Cub can get it done. Jonathan Martinez though, 16-4, 7 KOs, 2 subs, 7 decisions. Younger. I don't know. I think again. I guess maybe I'm just going with my sentimental favorites this week. Fuck it. I'm going with Cub Swanson. He's a scrapper. He'll pull it off. Rear naked choke. Round 3. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, so both guys have looked great, especially lately for Cub. Super tough fight to call. I think they're very evenly matched. But I still think that Cub has some stuff to show these young guys. I think that Martinez will be the more technical fighter, but I really see Cub chasing him down like he did the Korean Superboy. And when Jonathan Martinez is circling out, gets pressed up against the cage and he circles out, I see Cub catching him with some sort of hook or maybe another kick or something. So I'm going to say TKO for Cub in round 3.
Round 3. Okay, so we're kind of great. Cage Mikey pointed out in the comments, Martinez is a great point fighter. And so we'll see what happens.
Right. I think Cub will just try to rush through that, that point fighting and get his hands on him.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
So we're on to our main event here. Alexa Grasso versus Vivian Araujo. What do you think about this one?
Not a hell of a lot. Grosso 14-3, 4 KOs, 1 sub, 9 decisions. She's won 3 in a row. Vivian, she's 11-3, 3 KOs, 4 subs, 4 decisions. I don't know. I don't have a lot to say. I like Grosso by decision, I guess. So you tell me.
Yeah, so I think this fight is super close. Could go either way. And I think most likely we're going to get a decision with not too much damage dealt between either fighter. I'm not sure why. I just have a bad feeling that this is going to be a boring fight. Probably a 5-round boring decision. But I don't know. Maybe it's a main event. 5 rounds. Maybe they find a little extra motivation. One girl, pushes through and she decides she's really going to go for broke and we see something exciting, but I'm going to go with Arroyo via decision.
All right. Should be good. Looks like Cage Marquez is going to agree with you. He's got Arroyo by decision. I was impressed with her defending Andrea Lee's grappling. So
that's true. She did look good in that fight.
Yeah. So we shall see. That's this week's fight card. Not really a busy week going on here, but our boy Mateo Gonzalez once again is fighting on UFC Fight Pass for LFA. He was our first MMA fighter we interviewed last week. Real great, classy guy. Really like him a lot, guys. If you got Fight Pass, tune in. I don't know. We heard he's on the prelims, so me and Chevy are trying to figure out how we're going to see the prelims and stuff. But either way, Mateo Gonzalez. Follow him on social media.
The mighty Mateo _32 is his handle. So,
my man.
Yeah, shout out to Mateo if you're watching. We'll be watching your fight.
And shout out to Cage IQ in the comments. Check out his YouTube page. He's airing some of our wrestling interviews. We got another fight airing tonight at some point too.
That's right. I believe 7 p.m. tonight we'll be airing Cage My IQ's interview of current UFC lightweight Claudio Pulios.
That should be a good one. I might be a little late. I happen to have an in with the producer, and I told me he's going to do it when he gets home. So,
all right. So a little later on. Check for it tomorrow.
It will be there. But look forward to seeing that. And I know he's airing our interview with Al Snow right now on his channel. So, guys,
head.
That's right. 8 fight on the prelim. Oh, there you go. Yeah. So. We'll see. Hey, Backley, maybe you can message me or something too if you know how we can watch LFA prelims.
Yeah, are they on Fight Pass as well?
Are they on Fight Pass? Yeah, we're trying to figure that out. So let us know, because if that's all on Fight Pass, that's cool. That'll be easier then. Mm-hmm. We also might not be staying up for this whole card if it starts at 9. But we'll see what happens. We'll watch whatever. But definitely Mateo's who we're interested in.
For sure.
So. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Oh, Chevy, okay, so Cage Mikey was saying should be on the Fight Pass. So
all right.
Check it out. Chevy, why don't we tell them what we got coming up one more time?
All right, October 22nd, UFC 280, Oliveira versus Makhachev. I believe that's 3 p.m. Eastern, live from Abu Dhabi. Then, later on in the month, October 29th, UFC Fight Night Cater versus Allen. And then November 5th, UFC Fight Night Mitchell versus Evilov.
All right.
Before we get out of here,
yes.
I don't want to talk about it too much, but I did forget Jake Paul and Anderson Silva will be fighting coming up as well. So let's go Anderson.
Yeah. Anderson all the way. I'm forgetting the date. I do know it's a week before his brother Logan wrestles Roman Reigns in Saudi Arabia. So
dope.
The Paul brothers.
I also think Deontay Wilder is fighting this weekend too. We kind of skipped over boxing, but I don't know the guy he's fighting. I'm sure he knocks him out. So let's go Bronze.
Showtime?
No, Fox.
Oh, it's on Fox. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway,
all right, guys.
lots of fights to watch.
Always something out. Check it out.
Yeah.
All right, Combatcast. We'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you at the